Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Benanin, and for today's video we're going to be doing another sunscreen review. Today we'll be reviewing the Shiseido Clear Sunscreen Stick. This is an SPF 50+. So let's start out talking about the active ingredients, some of their claims on here, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so first of all, this sunscreen stick retails for $29. I picked mine up at Ulta. I think you can also get it at Sephora. But $29, you only get 0.7 ounces. It's a very small amount. Let me show you guys. I've used a bit of it by now, obviously, but let me roll up the stick so you can see how much you actually get. That's it. That's not a lot of product, so yeah, just keep that in mind. But it is handy that it's a small stick, you know, and you can just throw it in your backpack or in your purse or whatever, and you don't have to worry about it spilling. So that's kind of nice. This is a chemical sunscreen. The active ingredients are avobenzone 2.5%, homosalate 10%, octisalate 5%, and octocrylene 10%. As far as the fragrance, it does say that it has some fragrance in here. It's a very light smell, kind of slightly perfumey, but nothing crazy, and you really have to like get close to it to smell it. Otherwise, like from here, you can't smell it at all. And for me, the fragrance does dissipate slightly throughout the day. As far as the texture of this one, it is a chemical sunscreen, so there's no white cast, but the texture of it is pretty smooth. It feels like you're kind of putting on like a balm, a light balm of some sort, and it feels a little bit slightly greasy, not even greasy, just balmy when you apply it, and it rubs in very easily as well. It's very lightweight, so you don't feel like you have a lot of stuff on your face, which I like that. So day one when I wore it, I was wearing it with a moisturizer, and when I first applied it, it felt a little bit greasy going onto it, initially applying it, and I believe when I applied this, I actually put it on in 2 layers just to make sure that I wasn't missing any spots and covering really everything. And it does apply nice and smooth, but like I was saying earlier, it feels like you're putting sort of a balm, so there's a little bit of a layer of product, but it feels lightweight. So after rubbing it 2 layers over my face, I used my fingers actually to rub it in some more, and I actually found that when I was using my fingers to kind of spread it out, the finish felt better to me than when I just like quickly swatched and not rubbed it in. It's like a normal finish, I guess, and I will say that it did feel kind of greasy to the touch, or I don't really know, like silicone-y almost to the touch. And then I wore it for 15 minutes, and this is what it's looking like in window lighting, and the finish is okay, I guess. But I didn't like the way that it felt. To me, it didn't feel heavy, but when I touched my face, it felt greasy, and I didn't like that as much on day one. So I don't know if I'd really recommend putting other products underneath. I did like the way that it spread though, and this is a really convenient product for making sure you're getting all those spots that people typically miss. For example, getting your ears, getting the back of your neck, getting your neck, getting your chest. And I did directly apply this on my eyes, and I didn't have any stinging, nothing, like no issue at all. And this sunscreen does not really move at all. So I will say that if you are like swimming or sweating this summer, or you're just oily like me, it should stay in place for you. I mean, they do say that it's water resistant, so that's great as well. But I didn't feel like it was moving into my eyes or anything like that. No stinging or anything with this whatsoever. So I wore it for 2 hours and came back, and I look very oily, very, very oily. Did not like the way that this looked. I did go ahead and blot all of that oil off and then reapplied, and it looked fine, but again, that balminess was kind of gross to me. So then the next day when I wore it on bare skin, and that's typically how I prefer to wear my sunscreens in the summer anyways. I don't like to have a lot of product on my face. I already know I'm oily. I already know I sweat for no reason most of the time. The less product on my face, the better. So I wore it with no products underneath, just the sunscreen, and it applied much nicer than it did on day one. Everything kind of spread easily, and when I rubbed it in with my hand, it kind of sank in a little bit better as well, and I preferred the finish of that. I will say that you still kind of get that balmy silicone feel. It never completely disappears, but it felt better on the no moisturizer day than it did with a moisturizer. So I let it settle in for 15 minutes, and this is what it's looking like in window lighting. I actually do like the finish of it today. It looks pretty good. And it didn't feel heavy or like too greasy or anything. So then I came back, and 2 hours later, you guys will see I look much better 2 hours without the moisturizer than I did with. So that's good. I am oily still, and I did feel like there was still some residue. It wasn't fully drying in still, but it looked a little bit better on day 2. So then I came back and I blotted and I reapplied, and reapplication worked fine. One thing I like about this sunscreen is it doesn't take a whole lot to get it on your face. You know, some lotions you have to like really make sure that you're working it into your face and rubbing to blend it in, and then you're waiting for it to sit and everything. But this is not that type of sunscreen. This is like, I think would be really great if you're like on the go, or you're someone that just doesn't have time to be rubbing in sunscreen. You just want to quick swipe, rub and leave. This is a great option. There's not much waiting for it to look good. It looks good initially. The last day I wore it with makeup, and I put it on first on bare skin, and then I put my makeup on top. I didn't experience any separation, no pilling, no breakup. Makeup applied fine over it. I was able to layer things fine as well. I will say that after 2 hours though, I look a little bit shiny. Again, this doesn't have any oil controlling properties for us oily people. So my T-zones are looking very oily, and again, with most sunscreens that are not mattifying, I had to go in and do the extra work of powdering extra and making sure that I set everything properly so that I don't look like a grease bomb. So I probably wouldn't recommend this one with makeup if you have more oily skin, but if you do choose to wear it, you can just do some extra powdering and everything is fine. So it wore well with makeup, and then after the 2 hours, you'll see that I look glowy. I look oily, and I felt like I really needed to blot for sure. So I went ahead and blotted, and I actually decided to test this one out with reapplication over makeup, because not every sunscreen works that great for that, but I figured that since this is a stick, it should work pretty well. So I blotted my face, and then I went ahead and used the stick and just rubbed it like normal. It still kind of grosses me out to think that this stick will go directly under makeup, and then the next time you use it, it'll go on your bare skin. Like, if you have acne prone skin, I don't know if that's like the best idea, but I guess you could go ahead and wipe the surface of it and clean it a little bit before you use it the next time. Again though, with the finish and kind of that greasy film to it, I was able to make it work by just adding more powder after reapplying sunscreen. So now I'm going to share my overall thoughts and who I would recommend this product for. So if you have oily skin, I don't know if I can fully say that you would like this one. The finish is fine, but it doesn't do anything to control your oils. So if you're like really oily, you might need to use something else to kind of tame your oils this summer. This isn't going to be the product for that. But it does apply fine, and it doesn't initially look super glowy, so I did like that. But if you do decide to use this with oily skin, you might just need to like powder your T-zones a little bit, just to make sure that everything stays and stuff. But I personally, for my oily skin, I didn't like that I could still feel stuff on my face. If you have normal to dry skin, you're not gonna have an issue with this. If you have acne prone skin, I don't see you really having much of an issue with this. I personally didn't have any breakouts from it. I do double cleanse at night, and I think that does help, especially when I use water resistant sunscreens, to make sure that I'm getting everything off at night, and not leaving anything to clog my pores or anything. So if you're doing that, you probably won't have an issue with it as well. If you have sensitive skin, I didn't have any sensitivities to this, no reactions. I was a little bit nervous because it has fragrance in it, and I do have nasal, I guess, sensitivities to some fragrances, you know, where it, like, if the smell is too overwhelming or just like annoying, I will get more of the sniffles. But I didn't have that with this sunscreen, and the fragrance to me is pretty subtle, so that's probably why. I was able to put it on my eyes, and it didn't move at all, and I didn't have any irritation on my eyes. So will I continue to use this sunscreen? I feel like I probably won't be using it as much this summer because for my oily skin, I just don't think it's the best option for me. I do think that I would probably get away with using this more in the winter when I'm more dry. If I do reach for it this summer, it'll definitely be because of my eyes and just use it in that area and use it in my ears, like, or not in my ears, on my ears, like I said, just because it's so small and I can carry it around to reapply around my eyes, and I do tend to have a lot of issues with sunscreens burning my eyes. So if I find one that doesn't, I tend to like keep it so that I can use it specifically for that area. Lastly, they say that you can use this on your body. I will not be using this on my body because this was a kind of an expensive sunscreen considering the size of it, and I feel like if you use it on your body, you'll just run out of it really quickly, and you can just get a giant jug of, or at least for me, I can just get a giant jug of any kind of sunscreen for my body because I don't tend to have irritation on my body and my skin's not as sensitive there. So I'm not gonna waste the money to try to use this little bit of sunscreen on my entire body. That seems like a waste of money and a waste of time. If you guys have tried the Shiseido clear sunscreen stick and you loved it, let me know. If you tried it and you hated it, also let me know. Or if you try it and you use it for very specific things, like do you just use it for your eyes, just use it for the hard to reach areas, just use it when you're on the go and you don't want to take a bottle of cream around, let me know. Don't forget to leave your sunscreen recommendations down in the comments section below, and I'll be seeing you guys all in the next one. Bye!